I love this game. Regarding sequels, there's little more interesting than when developers jump from an historical title to something fantasy. Now their game doesn't need to be realistic, so they can focus on having good mechanics. While not the pinnacle of this, Rise of Legends is a great example, at least on paper. It has an original and interesting setting, 3 different factions with plenty of asymmetrical features, and it isn't as bloated as Rise of Nations is. And since it's abandonware, it's one of those games that would really benefit from a remaster. And considering how other RTS remasters are doing, I'm gonna say there's a chance we'll get it within our lifetimes. Let's begin. First of all, despite the praises I've given it so far, the game has long been abandoned and there's no way of playing it without pirating it. What does your main character think of this, you ask?
Pirates.
It doesn't mind. So what is this game? It's an RTS with a particular emphasis on securing and gaining territory with a similar amount of neutral sites as Age of Empires 3. You start with a city and a couple of units, so does your enemy, and instead of building new cities, you have to civilize neutral ones or obtain them peacefully by trade. Other than cities, there's neutral sites like ones that spawn unique units, give economic bonuses, allow you to purchase mercenaries, or are just an extra mine. Those are the two resources, by the way. Timonium, which is totally different from Tiberium, and wealth. You mine the first one and you trade with caravans for the second. In the cities you can also build 4 different types of districts, each with their own purpose, that get more expensive the more you have, so new cities are needed to keep building them at a convenient price. Then there's research points, obtainable in different ways by the different faction that give you bonuses similar to the ones in Rise of Nations. Income, attrition and border expansion, plunder from killed units, access to your faction global ability, and maybe some unique stuff like revealing the map. Aside from districts, there's also independent buildings to place anywhere in your territory, like mines, unit producing ones, and defenses. Finally, each faction has 3 different heroes to choose from in skirmishes. They buff different units in your army as they level up in diverse ways, and have faction-specific limitations for their abilities. The faction are the Vinci, steampunk people with clockwork and steam-powered units as well as some neat flyers. The Alin, modeled after Arabian folklore, sporting a variety of mythical units, and the Quotl, part Aztecs, part Hemri, and a little bit of Stargate. We'll explore them later in some detail as we go through the campaign. Yeah, this game actually has a pretty good campaign with a surprisingly decent story, unlike Rise of Nations. I mean, don't get me wrong, the campaigns in that game were fun and complex, but there was also stuff like, oh good, my reinforcements, I really needed these 12 people to... Oh, never mind, they're stuck in trees. And their fucking hoplites. Or, wow, we got China before the Korean War. I wonder how different the scenario will be. Oh, never mind. Or, I actually reviewed the Rise of Nations a long time ago, but that video is hot garbage, so don't watch it. Anyway, what we're going to do now is go through the campaign, just because it's pretty good and it deserves to be explored. The plot isn't exactly the best thing ever, but I'm still gonna call spoilers from here on out. The story is set on a planet called Io, comprised of a single continent. The first part takes place in Vinci lands. Their society is, as the name implies, modeled after the warring state of Renaissance Italy. Our protagonists hail from the city-state of Miana, a peaceful and prosperous place on the eastern edge of Vinci lands, separated from the Alin only from a stretch of desert. Recently, in a mine near Miana-controlled territory, there has been a discovery, an artifact of unknown origins that's making the miners sick.
But those miners who found it? Not a good way to die. I'd be happier if you stayed behind.
Ha! You worry too much, old man.
I'll be sure to carve that on your tombstone.
So our group of protagonists marches there to hopefully secure and bring back the object for further studies. They are Giacomo, a young inventor responsible for most of the clockwork units in the game, Carlini, an old soldier and commander of Mianan forces, and Petruzzo, aka the chaddest of men. Turns out they've been beaten there by Franz Josef, who immediately attacks our guys. But that doesn't really matter because Petruzzo is there to save the day. Look at this absolute mad lad. Shove this retard out of harm's way, get saved by a clockwork man, then narrowly escape certain death. So now Giacomo's in charge of Mianan forces and set on a course for revenge, accompanied by the actual chaddest Carlini.
When you hear the sound, make sure you look for the pulsing arrow.
Thanks, Carlini. Here we get a taste of the Vinci units. Their basic squad are musketeers and they can unlock 4 different stances. Most units have at least one ability which makes fights engaging. One mechanic of the game is trampling or running over people. Funny thing is, the musketeers counter trampling by switching to the melee stance, which means the best way to counter Austrian emperors on giant robots is bashing them with the butt of your rifle. They even do more damage this way. Anyway, I lied, that's not Franz Josef, that's the Doge.
Doge? Oh, I've been pronouncing it doggy.
I mean, it's actually pronounced Doge. He's the ruler of not Venice and he's the bad guy.
Once the dust settles, send in a few men. No one survives.
Oh, yes, sir!
Our campaigns begins in Miana. First we fight some Alin raiders and recover Giacomo's walker. Then we arrive at the city of Pirata, home of flying pirates, that the Doge is besieging with a fuck-off flak tower. We also meet another main character here, Lenora, the ruler of the city of pirates, don't ask me how that works, who provides flyers to fight the Doge. And also wants the dick.
Whoa, what?
From now on, the game map opens a lot. It becomes reminiscent of the Rise of Nations campaigns, but with each scenario feeling more unique.
An enemy is nearby. We must prepare. If an enemy blocks our way, he must be defeated. An enemy is nearby. We must prepare. An enemy is nearby. We must prepare.
Except for the skirmishes, of course.
An enemy is nearby. We must prepare.
You also gain the ability to build districts in captured territories, which gives some income every turn as well as different reinforcements. They give you points that you spend to expand your retinue, unlock more units or build more districts. The points to upgrade heroes come from the mission objectives. There's various ones, most of which fun. One as you bring back to the fold a former Miana vassal now in possess of a foreign technology, another as you fight endless hordes of scrap-made clockwork men then fight their boss, another yet as you prison break political enemies of the Doge. But the immediate objective is to eliminate the enemy vassals, like Don Rocco's Wasteland, a rich but devastated territory, or Don Sclario's Feligno, where the people actually support the ruler. Never mind. By the way, the enemy does have armies on the campaign map. If they conquer a neutral territory that has a scenario, then there's no change. If it's a skirmish, they'll start with an army. And if they attack one of your territory, they destroy military districts each turn until they take it without any fighting on your side. You don't really want to play more skirmishes, so try to avoid losing territory. There's nothing inherently wrong with skirmishes, but since upgrades are done in the campaign map and you start with a pretty big army, then the matches are way less interesting than regular skirmishes would be. One problem I have with the campaign is that you end up with too many heroes. You don't get enough points to spread among all of them, and while in a match their cost is incremental, meaning that you will seldom summon more than 2. There's a couple of missions that let you start with 3 heroes, so I always bring Giacomo because I have to, Carlini because his skill set is amazing and is an overall solid unit, and Bastion, whose specialty is deleting buildings with his leaf blower. The territories also give you one-time abilities that aren't that great but can be of some use. Eventually we bring the fight to the Doge. People of Venucci, we're here to save you from tyranny! Here we face the Doge's cannon, a big fucking gun that just obliterates everything. Too bad we capture it. Vengeance.
Wish you were here to see it.
Petruzzo?
The Doge. Where is he?
Problem is, the Doge wasn't in this level.
These look like tracks from the Doge's hammer.
He built more than one. We captured a decoy. The real one is headed east. He drew us out, Giacomo.
Yeah, he took his real cannon east and went for Miana. Off-screen, Giacomo's hometown is razed and the Doge proceeded towards Alin territory for unknown reasons. And that concludes the Vinci campaign. A final note about the faction. The Doge, Giacomo and Lenora are its playable heroes, and unique to them are Prototype and Labs. Prototypes give you all sorts of bonuses, unique units or even clockwork miners. The labs give you research points and can be transformed into all sorts of stuff. A telescope for vision, a borehole for more income, calculators for trade, foundries that infinitely spawn clockworkmen, bunkers, or even the Doge's cannon. My favorite one is the Doge's statue, where you can build unique units. Obviously the last two are disabled in the Vinci campaign. Because of these, they are my favorite faction. You can go Giacomo and spam clockwork units, or you can forgo upgrades, go Doge, and mostly fight with Doge units that get buffed every time he levels up. Although nothing stops you from having more than one hero outside of your economy. I feel like they have a lot of choice in what they can build, and they're amazingly steampunk. Few games manage to capture the aesthetic this well. In the beginning of the second campaign, our heroes march through the desert towards the Alin lands. A nice touch is that Giacomo's walker has undergone some modification to survive the sand. Here, they meet a mystic that offers to guide them to the Alin capital, but oh no, it's a trap. Fortunately, they're saved by Arri, the Sultan daughter and long-time childhood friend of Giacomo, who also wants the dick. Yeah, Giacomo has been here already, which explains where he got the ideas for these. Now, him and the Sultan have a very peculiar conversation.
Where he's based. Gnarri commit suicide.
Basically, the Alin are under assault by creatures made of dark glass, called simply the Dark Alin, under the control of Sawu, a genie. And also, the Doge has gone through here towards somewhere. From here on out, we take control of Alin forces. Lenora has to leave, but you get her in her place. Their shtick is that the units and buildings are divided in their elements: fire, sand and glass. Each circle can produce a variety of units and they all feel distinct. You can build them in neutral or enemy territory for an extra cost. The heroes are limited in what abilities they can use by mana. To increase it, you need to build Magus districts, which also give research points. Their national power is to summon a temporary army. Thankfully, you start this campaign with every unit ready, having only to unlock improvements to your already pretty good selection. This campaign as you traverse the desert in hope to find a way to enter the lost city of Medzekesh, where Sawu resides. In the meantime, you'll be fighting wildlife, mythical creatures and dark genies who try their best to stop you. And that one mission where Giacomo goes mad and roams around fighting hallucinations.
These Dark Alin must be crushed! The salamander is such a curious creature. I must find more of them. Even the Vinci turn on me. Will this treachery never cease?
I'm just gonna go curl up into a ball and die now, thanks. Great.
Somewhat surprisingly, there's an abundance of Vinci people in the desert.
Hail, travelers! I was wondering if you could help me solve a mystery.
Please help me. I'll be ruined if my goods don't survive to market. I'll pay handsomely for your assistance. Well, that was a truly painful experience.
My favorite is Pulitore, a deserter from the Doge army.
I lost my lungs to the Doge's factories.
Not only looks goofy as hell, but also has a terrible name. It just means cleaner in Italian. In his mission, you control both Vinci and Alin forces. Hey Giacomo, I hope you don't mind. We erected a giant statue to the man that killed all your people. It inspires the men, you see. Haha, what a fun level that one was. I wonder what's next.
The enemy has been spotted. Amongst the dunes.
Of course.
The enemy has been spotted. Amongst the dunes. The enemy has been spotted. The enemy has been spotted. Amongst the dunes.
Turns out the keys to the city are actually creatures. Dakla, Sand Dude, and Damanur, Fire Lady. In their mission, there's also yet another group of Vinci people.
You there! If you've come to stake a claim, you're too late. We were here first.
Help us! We are under attack!
I sure feel terrible about failing that objective. I think I'm gonna restart.
Could you have been any slower? We've lost a lot of time worrying about these rocks. Here is some timonium for your efforts now. Off with you! Hey, what are you doing?
Video games. Sawu's lair is a maze of dark glass. Perilous, inhabited by dangerous creatures and offering little respite. By the time we find the genie, our forces have been decimated. But no matter, Giacomo and Carlini are enough to... Give me a second. Enough to kill the evil genie. The crimes he committed against the Alin, the suffering he caused, all the people...
Sawu!
Turns out Sawu just needed a good old beating. He only went insane because of this artifact. Oh, by the way, the Doge is here. Lenora turns up with reinforcements and the Dakra Davanur Sawu trio joins you. Not that you needed anyone else than Giacomo and Carlini.
It's over, you bastard! Today you answer for Miana. And for my brother!
Brave words, boy, but you're all out of trick.
We'll have a little mopping up to do, but
Giacomo! What is that thing?
Yeah, there's aliens now. Surprise. And that completes the Alin campaign. They're my least favorite faction, but they have a couple of things going for them. Their aesthetic in premise. Even in skirmishes you don't need to research units, only upgrade them. With them it's very easy to gain numbers advantage in the early game, which means they have good rushing potential. And their heroes are the 3 genies.
Quotl in this area must be defeated if we're going to continue on.
The final campaign begins and our party marches east again into Quotl lands. Basically, aliens crashed into this planet a long time ago and got the people to worship them as gods. Random pieces of their technology were also scattered throughout Io. The Doge's cannon, the artifact, the thing that made Sawu mad, and this bit here in the crazy Giacomo level. They're also seen aiding the Doge on several occasions. We start the last campaign straight in the domain of the Moon God, controlling both Alin and Vinci forces. The level is an easy steamroll because of all the stuff you start with, but at the end it's cutscene fight time.
Want this thing? Come and take it. I've been a soldier for 43 years.
You go, Carlini, get him, Tiger.
I've served in 2 wars. I've killed more men than I can count.
So now Giacomo has been reclused in his workshop when the 2 waifus try to get his mind off grief, but he's set on something better than thoughts. Giant robots! Yeah, Giacomo goes full megalomaniac here and adds pieces of the moon god corpse to his worker. Now he is the new god, complete with a new melee animation. His skill set changes too, he actually becomes kind of insane. A heal and damage zone that basically gets all your units to max health, a mini starbolt which is the Quotl national power, a 90% damage reduction area, and mirror copies who can trample. He becomes so strong he can solo armies. Now you take control of Quotl forces, but before that we need to decide between Vinci or Alin heroes. This might appear a tough choice, but Vinci is the obvious answer. Not only you had those heroes for longer and had more chances to upgrade them, but Alin heroes need Magus districts to have a reasonable mana pool. And now you will not be playing as the Alin, so no mana districts. To note is that regardless of who you choose, Sawu stays with you. He is definitely a good hero. Which is more than I can say for the new ones. Both are local tribals. One is meh, and the other is slow. So now you get to play as the third faction. All Quotl units share the same two abilities unlocked with researches, a shield and a cloak. That's it. Oh, just in case you miss Carlini, his ghost is here to give us the tutorial.
The Fane produces basic Quotl units. The Fane can lift off to travel to a new location, and can garrison units to act as a transport.
Their most notable feature is that they use energy instead of wealth. It's acquired through reactor districts and later on through mine upgrades. When playing this campaign you might think it doesn't have many uses, but we'll get to it later. Interesting is that instead of purchasing neutral sites, they subjugate them using timonium. You can make it so it doesn't fuck up every unit you acquire, but that might come a bit too late in the match to be useful. The Quotl utilize sentinels and a variety of constructs in battle. Their buildings have shields and their barracks act as transports. They get holy arcs to either buff buildings or protect units from attrition, particularly useful when connected to mines. Their buildings are very similar to the Vinci's, but they lack the prototype labs. Anyway, from here on out you'll be fighting the Quotl False God, the Sun God, the Storm Goddess and the Death God, the guy who killed Carlini. But sadly, this is where they got lazy with the missions.
The enemy is close by. If we can conquer their cities, that should be enough to drive them from this area. The enemy is close by. The enemy is close by. The enemy is close by. The enemy is close by.
Too many skirmishes and many scenarios are just skirmishes with either one small modifier or shitty map. There's one decent defense level where Pulitore got to shine though. Let's just skip to the campaign goals. First off, Xil basically has an energy version of the Doge's cannon as well as a pretty big army. Then Shock has a mind control tower. Mind control? That is so evil, right Lenora? Also, I'm pretty sure that the mind control tower was supposed to be in Xil's level? Whatever. Lastly, we get to Xin. You start with both Quotl and Vinci forces and take down barriers that protect the Death God. And apparently they're gonna destroy the planet? When was this discussed?
I know, you're gonna crush me, blah 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 blah.
Long story short, you kick their shit in.
Haha!
With Carlini avenged, Giacomo sacrifices, perhaps needlessly, and the world is safe once more.
They've got statues of Giacomo too down there. They call him the entire.
The end. I've written epilogue foreshadows some more conflicts that sadly never got to happen. Hey, you can make your own with the editor. Oh no, the proletariat is rising. Time to crush the rebellion, chicken riders. Before we move on, one last thing about the Quotl. In skirmish mode, the three gods you fight in the campaign are the heroes. Unlike Vinci and Alin heroes who level up by unlocking or upgrading abilities, the Quotl level up by using them. Fact is, they cost energy. So, for this reason, the Quotl are strongest when they have an economy to support spamming abilities and units. Which isn't hard because you need a lot of reactor districts to raise the commerce cap, to have more timonium, to build more miners and subjugate more sites. Pair this with the Alin's temporary summons in early numbers and the Vinci's defensive prototypes and buildings, and it looks like the factions are designed around the old RTS trifecta: booming, rushing and turtling. It does sound less than ideal to have your three factions counter each other, but the multiplayer is long dead, so I'm not really confident in saying this game is unbalanced or badly designed. Just a thought. Okay, that was the single player. Pretty good story, especially for an RTS that could have gotten away with not having any. It explains the relations between the factions, it's a good tutorial and a dive into a rich world. I just wish there was, more of it. Technically speaking, it's outstanding as well. The voice acting is good, the graphics are fine for its time, and the music is a beautiful mix between unique tracks and remixes of Rise of Nations OST. The game ran perfectly too, outside of some audio stutters.
We have arranged for weapons to be brought to us. They should arrive soon.
Speaking of audio, the sound design is amazing. The thunder of hooves, the musket volleys, the screeching creatures, the mechanical parts that need oiling, the energy beam noises. Fantastic. Maybe the camera could zoom back more and the pathfinding be improved a little bit. The skirmish AI is decent enough to offer a challenge for a while, but it has some glaring issues, especially with unit preservation and with being raided. So, when all is said and done, you'll be left wanting more, and by that I mean, please somebody remaster this fucking game already. Rise of Nation was remastered like 6 years ago, it's long overdue. You can play it with friends using a virtual LAN software, but that's it right now. It's a pity because I think people would play this game. It is scaled down from Rise of Nations while having simplified macro management in favor of more impactful micro because of trampling heroes, stances and abilities. So it can appeal to fans of Rise of Nations as well as people unfamiliar with the game. The setting will be enough to draw in people new to RTSs, while the mechanics seem to be deep enough for veterans of the genre to like it. So, Rise of Legends. This video was half review and half screaming into the void for this franchise to be reborn. I played this game a lot back in the day and I can say it holds up. Maybe there are some balance problems I can't see right now, but that's neither here or there. And I didn't notice any glaring issue, unlike in Rise of Nations where unique units are missing bonus damage. So I strongly recommend it if you know how to work a turret. That's all, thanks for watching friends, and since you made it this far, I think you deserve to hear the end credits song. See ya!
They made fun of me in school, cause I was a nerd. I used to make things, little tiles and clockworks. They called me Giacomo the Four Eyes. And then my brother, oh, he's so special, he's so cool, and everybody loved him. Oh, he got the touchdown, all the chicks dug him, and then he died. And now I'm in charge, and the nerd's in charge. Cause I'm Giacomo, 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 in charge, Giacomo, Rising Legends, Legend Rising, Giacomo's got it, he's gonna take it, he's gonna take it, Giacomo, Rising Legends, Legend Rising, Giacomo, you gotta rise those legends, Giacomo.
You ask me for permission to Atari. Dark ass. I do not have the power to deny you that.